Can we talk about your travel a little bit?
Sure.
Because I want to encourage people to follow you on Instagram at in and out of Africa.
In and out of Africa, So let's start by how I mentioned, I named my Instagram In and Out of Africa.
Yes, please.
So when I was moving to Africa, I had a few friends, and you could see the terror in their eyes. Why would you leave? America is the land of milk and honey. There's no other place in the world, right?
And this is during the Obama years, 2014.
Yes, yeah. And
it was the land of milk and honey then.
Like there is Yosemite, right? If you like the outdoors, right? And then there's everything else in the world, right? So it's kind of like you can't say we have the best, right?
Yeah.
So
fair.
I remember, the first photo I posted was me with Qatar Airlines staff. That was interesting. Then from then I've just like been everywhere and created, like this. So my IG is fantasy. People who know me know that I'm selling fantasy. I don't post anything about work, and I could have the toughest day at work, but if I'm somewhere, I'm gonna try to show you the glory of the sunset there, so that's how it started, because I know a lot of people who would not leave the West thinking that, there's nothing to be found, anywhere else in the world. Now that first cohort of people who believe that way, they unfollowed me after some time. They're like, okay, too much. It's messing up with our childhood narrative of how,
of how things are
of how things are in the world, right?
Okay.
Everyone in Africa should have flies on their face, and like there should be poverty everywhere, and it's just not the Africa that I believe in, so that's why I started kind of like blogging about travel.
And what was the inspiration behind like you wanting to travel more?
Okay, let's get to politics. I went to Lenana for high school, and on Saturdays we used to kind of play rugby, but as you're playing rugby, you're listening to kind of like the radio program. So there's Rick Dees or whatever, and there used to be a Voice of America program, and we listen, like the child in me was, just eating up propaganda. And let me say, it said, China are poor, they'll never make it communist, the West is the thing, capitalism, all of that. And I'm a recovering capitalist because I have been kind of like, I went deep to one side, but then by the time you got into the 2000s, China was producing more billionaires than anywhere else, and I'm like, what? How is that a thing? Then I started to discover that there is a bigger world than I know. Then I showed up to Hong Kong once, and I found a place where you can get a Michelin star, restaurant, and the streets are just fine and buildings are taller, and I'm like, okay. Everything in my childhood faced west, and nothing ever thought that going east or middle, or then from nowhere, Dubai came about. It's just kind of like more and more discovery. I think I'm just wanting to discover. And then one day I showed up to an island in the middle of the Pacific called Solomon Islands, and I saw people who are darker than me. I'm like, what are these guys doing here? Because I thought all black people should be, so there's so much wonder. There's so much to discover. And for people with wanderlust like me, we are just starting out, Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that sense of wonder and discovery is sometimes almost something we let go of in our childhood and are taught to think like as an adult, you just go through the motions. So.
But also, adulting is a scam. Let's just be honest. Let's tell everyone, and that's also something that comes from America, right?
Yeah.
Once you're an adult, you do not do this. It's ridiculous. Like my brother, who, the one who's between Nairobi and London, he does that 50 times a year. I'm exaggerating, but like the duality of kind of like you can do both.
Right.
He has kids who've been to 3 continents, all of them by their first birthday.
Wow.
You know, most American households is like, no, they won't have anything to see.
Exactly.
And they won't be big enough. And, you know, we need to do that when they're 29. Okay, like, you know, it's just for as rich as a society, you know, you find there is a poverty of imagination that is, you know, it's not everyone, but it is pervasive.
Yeah.
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 There's some